In the meantime, a Democrat senator Republicans are targeting in November is now in hot water over allegations he misused taxpayer money. The watchdog group, the Foundation of Accountability and Civic Trust, filed an ethics complaint against West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, accusing him of using taxpayer money for a California fundraising trip. He's accused of taking taxpayer funds to pay for the flight in order to attend the fundraising event where he raised almost $100,000. The group is asking the Senate Select Committee on Ethics to open a probe. Manchin's office has denied any wrongdoing, saying the trip was for fundraising and for official business, and claims he is in compliance with ethics rules. And meanwhile, Joe Manchin's midterm opponent, Attorney General Patrick Morrisey, is going after the Democrat senator's record. In a tweet today, Morrisey said when West Virginia needed Manchin, he sided with former President Obama and Washington liberals. The Attorney General claims he will always stand with his state's conservative values and be an ally for President Trump. And all eyes are going to be on the Mountain State come November over this highly anticipated race. One America's Alex Salvi has more on Morrisey's record.
West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey is facing off against the state's incumbent Democrat Senator Joe Manchin in what may be the most important race in the 2018 midterm cycle. Republicans hope to flip seats to hold on to their slim Senate majority and see Manchin as one of the most vulnerable candidates.
Joe Manchin went to Washington, promised to drain the swamp. Unfortunately, after 8 years, he's become part of the swamp.
Morrisey's successful primary campaign was fueled by his anti-establishment approach to lowering taxes, creating jobs, and eliminating Obama-era regulations.
Well, regulatory reform, we're going to focus a lot on the drug epidemic, and we're going to continue to look at more ways to lower your taxes and finally balance this bloated budget.
Morrisey was first elected in 2012, making him the first Republican to serve as the state's Attorney General since 1933. After being re-elected in 2016, Morrisey has set his sights on Manchin's Senate seat. In order to get there, he has focused his campaign on combating West Virginia's opioid epidemic, which leads the nation in fatal drug overdoses with 52 deaths per every 100,000 people.
We've taken on the drug epidemic aggressively, whether it's suing the federal government to reform the utterly failed national drug quota system that helps spit tens of millions of excess pills into the streets, or going after drug companies where there's evidence of wrongdoing.
As Attorney General, Morrisey sued the Drug Enforcement Agency, saying it allows companies to focus on profits and not patients when selling drugs. He's also gone after pharmaceutical distributors, reaching $47 million worth of settlements, the largest in the state's history.
Now, these Washington elites, they've pushed their liberal agenda down our throats. They spend our hard-earned money. They raise our taxes. And they sneer at our culture.
While framing himself as knowledgeable of the healthcare markets, Morrisey says he is staunchly pro-life, opposing taxpayer dollars going to Planned Parenthood and supporting a full repeal of Roe v. Wade.
I offer West Virginians a different path. A senator who will work with President Trump and fight for our conservative values.
Much like the president, Morrisey has focused his tenure on challenging policies from the Obama administration, earning him clout among prominent Republican figures. Morrisey had the support of GOP heavyweights such as Senators Rand Paul of Kentucky and Ted Cruz of Texas, and says unlike Manchin, he's in excellent relationship with President Trump.
When President Trump needed Joe Manchin's help on so many issues, Senator Manchin said no. When the president wanted to work with him on Obamacare, on the judicial picks, on the Trump tax cuts, Senator Manchin said, no.
Morrisey says he's worked with President Trump to get rid of burdensome regulations, including leading a 27-state coalition against President Obama's limits on carbon emissions and a pause on Obama's landmark climate rule for power plants.
You know, as your Attorney General, I sued over a lot of illegal regulations. Now in the U.S. Senate, I can go after all the stupid ones as well.
Morrisey has also worked with the president to develop a comprehensive plan to dismantle sanctuary city policies. He also has a reputation for being strong on immigration, which was demonstrated when he threatened a lawsuit against DACA that pushed the Trump administration to abandon the Obama-era policy. While President Trump didn't necessarily endorse Morrisey, he did tell voters in West Virginia not to vote for one of his opponents, Don Blankenship.
Mr. President, if you're watching right now, let me tell you, your tweet was huge.
Morrisey now hopes to flip Manchin's Senate seat in a state that President Trump won with 68% of the vote in the 2016 presidential election. Alex Salvi, One America News.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.